Hello everyone! Wonderful to see all of you here today. I'm really excited about the topic that I have today that I am doing specifically from my bend as a business coach for lightworkers. But ultimately, this particular strategy that I'm going to be talking about today works no matter what you're ultimately trying to achieve. It is all about the very amorphous seeming phrase and idea of going within, which I don't know about you, but it is something that I hear all the time in the lightwork community. It is something that I often tell people as well. And yet, I do realize that at times, hearing something like going within, for some people, is very amorphous. It's something that stops people up, and they may not be completely sure how to do it, or what it is. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, and also give a strategy that helps develop that idea of going within, so that down the line you won't need to use the strategy. Well, you may want to. I still really enjoy it, but that's because it involves a lot of journaling, just to give a bit of a hint ahead, and that's something that I quite love to do. So this particular strategy is born out of a course that I had to take in university when I was doing my education degree to become a high school teacher. It was a course called Transformative Inquiry, and its particular purpose was to help us as teachers to delve deeper than we're becoming teachers because we want to help kids. That's a lovely sentiment, it really is, and it's the simple heart as to why most of us are becoming teachers. Same goes for lightworkers. We all simply just want to help people, but it is just that, simple. So in order to sustain something much longer than a week or a couple times, or really casually, if you really want to help people, and you really want to make an impact, and you want to make whatever it is you're doing and whatever it is you're passionate about long term, you need motivation. It doesn't matter whether it's teaching or light work or knitting, you need to have motivation behind whatever it is you're doing. And that's what that particular course was about. It helped us dig deep within ourselves to discover the motivation. In more simple terms, it was how we were going to be teachers, how we were going to teach, and why we were becoming teachers. So that's exactly what you want to be thinking about as a light worker, whether you are officially starting out your business or you're just beginning on the journey and you know you have a lot of different passions in the lightwork community. Maybe you like working with crystals, you like doing angel card readings, maybe you are wanting to become a Reiki practitioner. Whatever it is, that's quite a few different things, and ultimately you do want to make sure that you dig deep and you figure out why is it that you are wanting to do this, and how is it that you're wanting to do this. For a simple example, we do live in a reality where we have to eat and we have to have a roof over our heads in order to survive and function, which means we need to have some sort of income coming in, and therefore it means whatever we're doing it often needs an energy exchange of money in order for us to have that intrinsic motivation to keep going with it. But on the same hand, you can't just do something for money. If you're doing something for money, then you're lacking that passion and that drive to be truly fully yourself. So that's again why going within is so important, and what this particular course was designed to help us with as teachers, and what I wanted to share with all of you today. So there was a lot of different elements with this course that did last for 4 months in a semester. However, I wanted to focus on the main part of it, and the part that I feel is most valuable to the lightwork community. What I'm going to talk about is slightly adapted toward the lightwork community, because again, this was something that was for teachers generally moving into 3D teaching jobs in a 3D teaching reality, where it was all about preparing teenagers for going off to get a job, become a member of society, and so on and so forth. So there are a few adaptations that I have added in to make it very specific to the lightwork community. But at its heart, this is essentially what we were doing. The course centered around using a journal that our professor called the Inquiry Journal. This journal was a blank journal in the sense of it had no lines in it, so just blank pages. So if you're feeling pulled to do this, go out and get any journal that you're drawn to, but make sure that it has blank pages in it. Why does it need blank pages? Because having a journal with lines encourages our natural human, societal, whatever you may want to call it, trained function of following the lines and staying within the lines. When you've got a blank page, there's a lot more natural tendency toward freedom of just scribbling all over it, of making mistakes on it, of drawing in corners, of doodling, of writing upside down and backwards and sideways, whatever you might do. It just allows for more freedom. And the point of the journal is to give you a physical method of freely digging deep within. So, what do you need to put into this journal to begin going within and uncovering your how and your why toward whatever your passion is with lightworking, or whatever you may on the surface level think maybe your passion is, and now you're wanting to dig deeper to really, really discover it. Every day for 40 days, 50 days, as many pages as there are in your journal, it really doesn't matter. Just do this every day until you start uncovering what your how and your why is. I would recommend a minimum of 40 days, as that's about how many days we spent in the course in terms of actual classroom time or out of classroom time. But again, go with whatever feels right. And I've done an inquiry journal since where I wrote through the entire thing every single day until I got to the very last page, and the journal was about 100 pages in length. So every single day for however long you are resonating with going for, but set a amount, make it 40 days, if you're really not sure. And make sure that every day you meditate, and this can be just 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, again, however long you are comfortable with meditating at that particular point in time. And when you've meditated, pick up your journal and write stream of consciousness, whatever is on your mind in that moment. Do not think about what you were writing, just write as if you were plucking every word out of your head and putting it onto paper. So I know for some of you who aren't used to doing a lot of writing, that may seem daunting and terrifying. I get that. I've worked with a lot of kids who are absolutely terrified by that, and they freeze up and they've got no clue what to write. If that's you, then I would recommend just writing down a word that comes to mind, the first word that comes to mind. Maybe it's happy, worried, confused, bored, uncertain. And then ask yourself, why am I feeling that? Answer that question. So you might say, peaceful. Why? Because I just meditated. Why? Because meditating helps me relax. Why? Because my life is very busy. Why? Because my life has many commitments, and so on and so forth. So with everything that you write down, if your next question in your mind is why, you will find the writing will flow a lot easier. So if you do find it hard to write at first, just keep asking yourself why and answer that question. And eventually you should find it easier to just dive right into writing out whatever is actually in your head. So that's the first thing that you want to make sure you're doing every single day. After meditating, writing out stream of consciousness, whatever you're feeling in that moment. The other thing you want to make sure that you are definitely doing is every week do something that is called a sky count. Sometimes it's called an autumn count or a spring count or a summer count, winter count, depending on the time of year. It's something that our professor adapted from one of the local First Nation communities and a particular practice that they do in terms of dream visualizations. What you're going to be doing in your journal every single week, just once a week, is after meditating, after doing your regular morning journal, sketch out the images that you've got in your head. Maybe it's a particular scene, maybe it's shapes, maybe it's just colors. Whatever you have in your head, visualize it by drawing it out. Do not need to do anything more than stick figures or random triangles, squares, or shapes or scribbles, so long as you are visualizing whatever it is that's in your head. It's a really good practice for taking things that are amorphous and then trying to give shape to them. I found through that practice that I uncovered a lot of symbols that consistently came up for me. When I was first doing this course, one of those symbols was a badger. Every time I was doing one of these sky counts, I kept drawing a badger. I also kept drawing a lighthouse that was full of books. I also was often drawing music notes all over the page. Those were things that I was really focused on at the time. I was really focused on my piano, and I was really focused on gaining knowledge and learning, which is related to the badger, among other things, as to the badger being a particular character that I had from my childhood as well. But I won't go too much in detail of that. That could be a whole other video into itself. What I wanted to say though is that your sky count will help you uncover certain things in terms of visual symbols that relate to who you are, what is most important to you in terms of the how and why of whatever it is that you are pursuing in the lightwork community. Now, the last few things that I wanted to go through that you can be putting into your journal are optional, and they can be done every single day, they can be done weekly, they can be done just whenever you feel compelled to do them. And they are sitting down, again, after meditating, and draw yourself as a stick figure. Then pinpoint where you are feeling energy, where you're feeling heat pockets or cold pockets or tingling or pressure, and start taking note of what you're feeling in your body and in the space around you. It helps you become more in tune with all the energies that are always around us, whether they're our angel team or other energies, and then our own energies. Everything is energy. So taking note of it is a good way of pinpointing where you're maybe consistently feeling something. And if it's something consistent, it is probably a particular energy that is wanting to get in contact with you. And that does go into a whole other video that I may do down the line. The point though for this journaling and pinpointing your personal purpose and your why and your how is simply becoming aware of your body and feeling your body and feeling your energy within the space that you are in. Far too often we do think too much, and the point of using this journal and the point of going within is to move from the thinking brain to the feeling heart. So again, you can do that whenever you feel compelled to, or you can do it weekly or daily. The other two things are doing a weekly, or whenever again you're feeling compelled to, brainstorm of different words that you would attach to yourself. Write your name in the middle of a page and then do a concept map. Do a spider diagram where you write down sister, niece, daughter, friend, teacher, lightworker, curiosity, happy, kind, shy, whatever it is. Just write words down that you would apply to yourself. And once you've done multiple of these, you can start tracking. Are there certain words that consistently come up for you when you are identifying yourself through language? Are there any changes even? And are you starting to move away from using certain terms to define yourself? I noticed when I first did it that a lot of the words that came up had to do with creativity, music, and books, or writing, or nature. Those things are really intrinsic and very important to me on a daily basis and on a very individual, purposeful basis. I focus a lot of things that I do around nature, creativity, and the idea of learning and sharing knowledge. So the last thing that you can be doing again whenever you are feeling compelled to, or do it weekly or daily, is take your journal with you when you go out in nature, or when you're going out off to work and you're sitting on transit, or you are having your lunch break at work, or you are sitting in a cafe, or maybe you're sitting out in a public space or in a public space. Whatever it is, and in whatever environment you're within, observe the environment or draw the environment. So if you're sitting down at a beach, you can draw the ocean or lake that you're next to. You can draw the rocks or the water or maybe any of the animals that are around you. You can write about the particular environment that you're sitting in. You can write about the music that's on in the cafe. You can write about the different people that you're seeing, and you can write about who you think those people are and what they do and how you would define them based on what you see or what you feel from that person's energy. Doing observations like this is again another strategy for pinpointing how your energy interacts with energies around you in a nature environment or within a human-made environment like a city or a specific building. And it also helps to pinpoint, again, what you focus on as an individual. So for me, for example, whether I was in nature or if I was sitting in a cafe, I was always looking for the story in whatever I was observing. If I was out in nature, I was looking at the clouds and I was writing about the story that I saw in shapes in the clouds, or in the story that I saw in the leaves that were all over the ground, or in the story that I saw in the fairies that I felt were in around a particular tree. Or if I was in a cafe, I was thinking up a story about the people that were sitting in there and what had brought them to the cafe and why they were in the cafe and what their passions and their loves were and what drove them. And through that, I discovered, again, that one of my main driving forces is uncovering people's passions and stories and their purposes and what drives them, what motivates people. And that's what I focused on for being a teacher and what I focus on for being a light worker when I am helping people, is finding ways to work to uncover a person's story and allow that story to unfold forward so that whatever has happened in your past, that's your past. It's gone and it's done. Yes, it's formed you to be the person you are now, but you are moving forward on an amazing path that is so bright and so wonderful and so full of possibility. So long as you make sure to stop and appreciate it, to notice it, to smell it, and most of all, to feel it with your heart. And that is what this transformative inquiry journal is really all about, is it gives you a very physical tool to start practicing how to go within. And eventually, you'll find that you won't need to use the journal. You may enjoy using it, and it may develop into its own creation, its own creature that is uniquely yours. But to begin with, it is a great way, if you're one of those people who hears, just go within and you have the answers. Go within to find the answer. Go within and think about your answer. Go within and feel the answer. Really, it should always be feeling the answer. Use this journal to help kickstart that particular process. So if you guys have any questions about what I've gone through, or if you've done anything similar to this particular journal, or you have just your own journaling that you do. I always love to hear about what other people do in terms of their creative explorations of self. So I will see all of you on Sunday. I will be channeling the wonderful Archangel Semblephon on the topic of creativity. I'm really, really, really excited about it because that is definitely, if you haven't already noticed, one of my favorite areas. So until then, have a wonderful day, everyone, and love and light to you all. Okay, done.
Super. Did that work?